The Montreal Canadiens have a really tough decision to make, as well as a young prospect who we could see make the jump to the big club very soon. I'll break all this down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into that, we just want to say that 78% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you're looking for a home to daily NHL content, and you're just a fan of the NHL in general, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, become part of the community here, because we'll be here all season long, keeping you up to date on what's happening around the league. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of this video here, and that is Joshua Roy is shining in Laval, and this is a guy who kind of jumped off the radar last year for Montreal, a guy who was a 5th round pick for Montreal, and then last year just started lighting it up in the CHL, and this year he turned pro going to Laval, where this month he earned the AHL Rookie of the Month. In 7 games he has 12 points. And in this article here, they say, like they said, through 8 games, he's tallied 5 goals, 7 assists, leads all rookies in the league points race, and 1 point last week, he also was the overall AHL point leader. And as a 5th round pick, this is something that you really don't expect, but this guy's has developed his game so much over this past year. A guy who's really offensively gifted, a guy that can go out on the power play and has a really good shot, and this is something that Montreal Canadiens have kind of been looking for over the last couple of years. A guy that's just a great goal scorer. They do have it now with Cole Caulfield, but they do have another guy in Joshua Roy down the pipeline that could really, you know, step up, come up to the big club, and just start tallying points for the Montreal Canadiens. He's just a great player. He's a great skater, really fast. The one kind of downside to his game is the defensive side, but he has developed his defensive game over this last year, or the beginning of this season down in Laval, and he has come out and said that he enjoys playing in Laval. He has learned a lot over these past 7 games. Turning pro, he said it's a different game than when you're playing in the juniors. But he's tearing it up down there right now. 12 points through 7 games. This is a guy that we could see maybe St. Louis and Ken Hughes give the call up to Montreal very soon. I really want to see this guy. I'm really excited. I think this guy is just going to be the future of Montreal. A guy who can, hopefully, when he comes up, can utilize his abilities to work in the NHL. Montreal has a lot of great prospects right now, and this guy is one of them. And I'm really excited to see what he can do in the NHL. I really hope he gets the call up to soon. I think this is a guy who could just come up in the NHL, maybe start on the 3rd, maybe the 2nd line, see how it works, but I think this guy could eventually jump up to that top line with Caulfield and Suzuki. I think this guy is such an offensively gifted player, and I'm really excited to see him start his career in Montreal very soon. But I'm going to get into the next topic of the video, probably why you guys clicked on this one, and that is, this is a tough decision to make, and obviously I'm talking about Sean Monahan. Sean Monahan has had a great start to the year, has really broken out of his shell over the last, since last year. He was dealt with that injury, and now he's come back this year and has proven to be a player like he was in Calgary. And he's just playing unreal right now. As we take a look at this article, at 29 years old, he's in only 9 games with Nick Suzuki he's tied with Nick Suzuki for the 2nd most points on the team with 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. He also currently leads the Canadiens in goal scoring, edging out Cole Caulfield by 1 goal. And the big thing here is he's posting a 60.5% face-off success rate right now, one of the best in the league. And I know one thing, when he did come to Montreal, a lot of people were worried about how he would do on that face-off dot. But right now, Montreal has 3 guys who are playing really well at taking face-offs, and Sean Monahan is just one of these. And if you watched any Montreal Canadiens games this year, you would notice Sean Monahan on the ice. He's playing really good. He's back to his prime form in Calgary, and that just leads to question, on a rebuilding team, do you really need an aging star? Could we potentially see Ken Hughes trade this guy for maybe a pick, maybe another prospect? We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting here. As we take a look at this article, it says if the Montreal Canadiens slip out of the playoff picture, Hughes and Gorton will have to make a tough decision by putting the future of the club ahead of short-term success. They want to build a winner the right way, and sometimes it requires the team to make a gut-wrenching decision. And like I said, the Montreal Canadiens aren't really expected to make the playoffs. They are playing really good right now, posting, I think, 5 wins as I'm recording this, and they just look like a great team. But the thing about Montreal right now is they're winning a lot of these games in overtime, in shootouts, and this is just going to take a toll on the team if every game you're going to overtime, every team you're battling from behind, coming back, pushing the game to overtime, pushing the game to a shootout, and then potentially winning or losing that game. It's going to take a lot of energy out of the players, playing an extra 7 minutes a night. The team is playing really good right now, though, and like they say here in this article, if you're a Montreal fan, if you're even just a Montreal hater, you got to really take a step back and just look at the question is, do we really want this short-term success right now, or would you rather trade Monahan away, give up that short-term success, but get that capital, get that draft capital, get that prospect back in return that's going to gear us up for the future? Because Montreal is a team who, in 2 to 3 years, I'm expecting to be a playoff contender. So one thing we haven't seen out of Kent Hughes since he's came to Montreal is he hasn't signed a 30-plus player, a 30-plus year old player to a big deal, to a $5-6 million deal, and that's because he's building for the future. And Monahan is up after this year, and if he continues at this rate, he could be a 60-point player this year. And, I mean, next year, you're not going to be able to re-sign him. You're not going to want to, because he's going to be 30 years old, probably looking for a 2 to 3 year, $5 million contract because he's improved his game this year. I think this is a guy that you maybe move off to a contending team for a pick, maybe a prospect. I think as we look at this article here, they do say, he's on a really team-friendly deal right now, just $2 million once his bonuses kick in. It's one of the best value contracts on the market right now. A first-round pick or a prospect equivalent could be from a contending team, could be a really good pickup here, or a late first-round pick or a prospect, and more assets don't have the same immediate impact as Sean Monahan. But it's not the assets that's important, it's what you do with it. And one thing that we know from Kent Hughes over this past offseason, over the last, since he's taken over in Montreal, is that he knows what to do with these assets, and he knows if he trades Monahan for a pick, for a prospect, he knows that this is only going to help our future. And I really do buy into Kent Hughes' plan over the next couple of years to get Montreal back in contending. And I do really think that I love Monahan. He's playing really good for our team right now, but I really do think that we do need to move him. Because if you get a first-round pick back, maybe even, like, what I'm thinking right now is Boston. Boston, lost a lot of center depth with Krejci and Bergeron, and this is a guy who could step up, play second line in Boston on a contending team, and really help their push to a Stanley Cup this year. Another team that I'm looking at right now is Toronto. Toronto does have young prospects like Nick Robertson in the AHL who, hasn't got time, isn't making the roster in Toronto, but if he comes to Montreal, he could be playing third line. He could be playing fourth line. I really expect him to be playing third line if he comes to Montreal. But this is a guy you could say throw Monahan at Toronto for, a third-round pick, Nick Robertson, a second-round pick, Nick Robertson, something like that. Or another team that I was thinking about, too, is the Dallas Stars. They could really use a guy like Sean Monahan down there, too. All these contending teams could use Sean Monahan, especially he's only 29. He's on an expiring deal. This is a guy you bring in maybe for 1 year. If he plays good, you extend him, and you just try to run it at that Stanley Cup, and this is the perfect guy you need for a contending team. He's a guy who can go out there, he can win those clutch face-off draws, he can get you a few points, get you a few goals, and right now, like I said, he's on track for a 60-point season, so this is nothing to bat your eyes at. I really do think that Kent Hughes and Gorton need to move on this soon, or just kind of see how the team starts playing over the next couple of weeks, and if they start to slip out of the playoff picture, they start to struggle a bit, maybe shop around Monahan while he's still a high on the table, right? He's only $2 million contract, it's 1.9, so even if you retain a little bit just to get a higher value from him, I think it won't hurt Montreal in the long run. It's only at the end of this season. So I really do think we do see him dealt. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think down in the comment section below? Let me know what you think about Monahan potentially being traded and what you would like to get him in return. But I'm going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Alistair. He says non-subscribe percent drops every week by 0.5%. Shout out to you, Alistair. I know you've been a day one supporter here on the channel, and I know it's crazy to see that when we started this channel, like 95% of people aren't subscribed, and now we're all the way down to 78. I'm so happy for all the support that our viewers have showed us over the last couple of months as we started this channel, and we really look forward to the future here. But if you enjoyed the NHL, make sure to check this video that's popping up on your screen right now, and make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But with that said, I've been Casey. Keep your stick on the ice.